Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Semaphore Uncut, a podcast for developers about building great products. In this new episode, Darko, the podcast host, welcomes Qovery's co-founder, Romaric Philogène. In this episode, Romaric shares his thoughts on platform engineering and the future of developer experience. I hope you enjoy this new episode, and let's dive in.
So today with us, we have Romaric Philogène. Romaric, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Darko, for having me.
Can you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Romaric, CEO and co-founder of Qovery. I'm a tech guy, so basically I'm running this company. So basically what we're doing is that we do provide an IDP, so internal developer platforms, to help to streamline the work of developers, engineering teams inside organizations, and making sure that platform engineers provide the experience that developers expect at the end of the day. And yeah, we do exist like for 3 years. We have more than 60,000 like developers using our platform, so that's great. I just started my career as a system engineer, working on the infrastructure side. I transitioned it from like system engineers as DevOps engineer, obviously, doing some SRE stuff, but then backend development. So I work in different organizations like financial organizations, ad tech organizations. And then I was at the point that okay, instead of doing what I'm doing like for the next 40 years, I just decided, okay, let's do something. Let's build this company, and that's the way I just started basically a Qovery 3 years back.
We have recently launched a CI/CD learning tool which shortcuts into everything you need to know to level up your CI/CD process and increase your productivity. Also, to ensure that all our customers get the best CI/CD guidance, we have improved our sign-up process. From now on, everyone who's considering using Semaphore will get personalized CI/CD expert guidance from day one. Our engineers have more than 10 years of experience, so you'll surely be in good hands. Check it out on our website, semaphoreCI.com.
I guess it has been quite exciting journey since then.
I think you need to be a bit naive just to start a company, because you have this big dream. You have a clear vision of what you're doing, which is great. You have experience in the field, but you have to learn so many different things like marketing, go-to-market, positioning, selling, all of that. So it's not a simple journey, but at the end, you are just a better man.
I'm just curious to hear from you. What are some of the technologies and patterns that you have encountered through your career prior to starting the company that led you to this? Okay, let's make this easier and better for people.
If we look back like 10 years ago, we had already HeroQ, so now that is part of Salesforce, like providing this great experience like to developers. But if you look at organizations, actually most of the organizations didn't want it to use that kind of platforms, because of mostly IT departments, that they have like different constraints and concern about those things, that they're abstracting a bit too much, like the infrastructure. So it's something that is changing, but we'll talk about that just after. So I started working with obviously virtual machines. So at the time that containers were not like something very fancy, I was using actually some containerized like technology, but it was definitely not super user friendly. So great for IT, but not so much like for developers. One technology that I really enjoy using is a VMware ESX, actually. So I don't know, Darko, if you're familiar with those solutions that they are.
Unfortunately,
like, you are?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's one of the most like interesting solutions that I use in my IT career, because actually it did just work. Like it worked perfectly well, at least for us. We had like a very high budget in terms of like different servers that we were using, and VMware solutions with the different options that you can get, vMotions, doing replications across different regions, and those kinds of things were like accessible to us in the financials. And to be honest, I got like a really good experience with their product engineers as well. On the support side, they were very, very qualified. They knew exactly every single details of their platform, so that was very enjoyable.
I just recently had a discussion with a team in Netherlands actually, about that balance between open source and being, let's say, very popular, attractive, also part of, some level of hype around, and then a big organization, tries to adopt it, and it figures out that there is a lack of support, a lack of maturity for their use case.
Oh yeah,
They had, I honestly forgot the examples, but quite a few examples where they actually decided to go for some, pretty expensive solutions in the end
yeah,
to
yeah,
counter that. And for me, being, open source fanboy, all my life, and all of that, yeah, it has some very valid points. And then I looked through some of our history. We also,
yeah.
if we can buy, some solution for something, let's absolutely buy
Yeah,
it instead of, install something right ourselves.
that's exactly. You need to be sure that your people inside the organizations are qualified just to operate that solution. As a founder, uh, I also consider that the time of my engineers must be allocated to bringing value to the company and not operating software that we can just buy, because actually the total cost of ownership in some way, so the cost of just running the software, is cheaper by paying a proprietary solution than just integrating that into our own process and just operating on our own.
And then we also have the example of, big public clouds that we, did a great service to the industry as a whole, but also have that element that they are, quite complex, and something that was, absolutely lovely, having those EC2 instances and having that S3. You can store as much things in it as you want, and a nice load balancer and so on. But the complexity over time exploded,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's, everything but, simple and easy. Maybe you can give us some, war
Yeah.
stories in that domain, what you're seeing with your customers. And
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you get it right. I do think the cloud solved like a big issue that was basically provisioning and capacity planning from organizations. Do you remember that time when
yeah,
you had
yeah.
to just plan how many servers you are going just to pay for, like for the 3 next years? It just, it was not even possible. So today it's no longer like something that companies have to consider, since they have access to the public cloud, which is great. So you can launch a company and run a company without any like a capacity planning. So if your business is growing, you pay just like for the capacity that you are using. So that's pretty nice, pretty. But today also what happened is that the complexity of the public cloud. So we started, so when we look back, AWS was just composed of 3 services at the beginning. So S3, SQS, EC2 for the compute. Now you have more than 200, 300 services. It's crazy. Even if they are like
Yeah.
abstraction on top of, they are like built, they are product built on top of those 3 foundational products. They are adding complexity. And what happened is that those services needed to also bring back some concepts that were required, so some options, and that's the way it started to be super complex. So, and now what happened is that organizations, they are like just struggling, obviously, like understanding all the things that they can do. You have people that they are dedicated to the task, obviously from IT departments, so cloud engineer, that know perfectly well about those things. But at the beginning, the cloud was there just to help developers, that they are bringing the value to just to ship faster, to get access to the different infrastructure layers through APIs. But now it's so complex that those developers, they can't be super autonomous. So that's why organizations now, just fast forwards, they transition in a way that they are no longer they have still IT departments, but they are building platform engineering teams inside their organization to provide the developer experience that developers expect, you see. So that's quite interesting because the cloud was in charge in some ways. So the public cloud was in charge of providing this developer experience. So that was what they did at the beginning. But now, if we look at 2024, it's no longer the case. And that's why platform engineering teams are like teams that are integrated inside those organizations to solve that issue.
Can you give us a short like landscape overview of what are the areas that you can help, let's say, from all of those 200 plus services that AWS currently has? If companies using like a mixed bag of maybe SQS and some running some containers somewhere plus some storage, the typical mix that's needed for a usual kind of a company. What are the things that you guys are now successfully abstracting and can solve, and what are the areas where people then have to branch out and use the raw AWS?
Something that we have seen just emerging now, like inside organization, it's not a secret, but Kubernetes is becoming really the standard de facto to run orchestrate containers. We have moved and transitioned now organizations and big organizations as well. They use containers, so that's really good because if we look back 10 years ago, they were not even using VMs. Where we are helping is that Kubernetes is a great platform to run and orchestrate containers. So Qovery is built on top of Kubernetes, okay? But we do provide something that no one's can provide, is really the developer experience. It takes a lot of time and effort just to make sure that a Kubernetes a cluster can be used by any developers, like even junior developers. That's exactly what we do provide with Qovery. If you have to retain something from Qovery, it's just that we sell developer experience. That's it. Platform engineering teams, they are traditionally coming from an IT background, maybe backend development background, not so much product background, and they are super good at operating the infrastructure, okay? But the things of a platform engineering team is really providing the experience that developers needs to be autonomous and to adopt the platform and use it for real. And we are solving this gap of those people that are building the platform engineering team, but the lack of developer experience into their platform. So they buy Qovery for that reason, and they can provide this experience. So in terms of Kubernetes abstraction, it's great. And now, so the question is that, okay, what are the services that you are not supporting? Actually, the way that we've built the platform is that you can really provision any kinds of resources. It's completely agnostic, okay? So your platform engineering teams can provide templates of any kinds of services that you want to use. It could be from your cloud provider, but even from external solutions or internal solutions. There is no problem. We provide a framework of providing those and an experience to provide those elements to your end user. Okay. So that's it. That's basically, it's crazy saying that in just 2023, what we are selling is not infrastructure, but we are in the infrastructure space. So we know and we understand perfectly well people managing infrastructure, but also at the same time as developers, is all about the developer experience. That's it. We are not selling anything else, just developer experience.
What are some of the maybe interesting challenges that your team had to solve maybe in regards to just Kubernetes as a software solution, or cloud in general?
We are in a market that is changing a lot right now. So now platform engineering is a real thing. So I can even talk without explaining what's platform engineering, but if you look back just 12 months back, it was not the case, you see. So it's really moving like a fast pace. So that's quite interesting. But during this year, what we face as a challenge is definitely also educating platform engineers. So helping them to transition from just pure IT backgrounds and providing developer experience. Now they are completely aware, and that's something that has changed. If you look for the 10 last years, because if you look at HeroQ and those platforms, Netlify, Versal, Platform SH, you see those past, so platform as a service product. Actually, they were doing the same, but they were working with individual developers. Inside organizations, you have those IT people, but they were not caring about developer experience. And now that's something that has changed. Like during this year, I can really be confident and say that for 2024, I just published a new article about my predictions about 2024 in the platform engineering space. And developer experience is really at the center of all of that. Really providing a path and talking about all those things, making sure that people like really consider that aspect, because otherwise platform engineering is completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. If we are just transitioning from like DevOps engineering movement into platform engineering without doing any changes, like on that side, then it's completely waste of resources and time. And actually, what's fun is that if you look at platform engineering, it's just DevOps engineering methodology. That's it. Like deciding, making sure that ops people, developers work all together, but in a better way. It's no longer just like giving them access, giving them like the tools and providing them like servers and resources and say that, hey guys, those are like the resources you want. You want it to have like a server to run your application, and then execute that script and do this YAML configuration file, execute this Terraform script, and it will work. No, now we are in the age of, okay, we are going to make an effort, us as platform engineers, to integrate into your workflow, into the way that you work. Okay, what are like the tools that you're using? Your IDE, Git. Oh, what's the way you're using Git? Okay, in a Git flow way. Okay. Oh, you're opening pull requests for every single features that you're working on and fix. Okay, we'll make sure that the tools that we provide integrate into that. You don't even have to think about how it works. It just works for you, and we are providing the experience that you expect. So then from that, you can really focus on delivering the code, so the applications, and solving like your business issue, and everything will happen like under the hood for you.
We have recently launched a CI/CD learning tool which shortcuts into everything you need to know to level up your CI/CD process and increase your productivity. Also, to ensure that all our customers get the best CI/CD guidance, we have improved our sign-up process. From now on, everyone who's considering using Semaphore will get personalized CI/CD expert guidance from day one. Our engineers have more than 10 years of experience, so you'll surely be in good hands. Check it out on our website, semaphoreCI.com.
In recent years, less, but in the beginning, let's say, of Semaphore, we had some quite hostile DevOps people when we were appearing at the meeting, because they are maintaining their Jenkins on whatever they are maintaining on-prem. And then there is that, okay, but Semaphore, if you, it's available also on the as on-prem solution, but if you're, let's say, focusing on the cloud SaaS offering, what is there for you to do? Well, maybe just help developers optimize their pipelines, and make them faster, and pay attention to those pieces, which are essentially the experience piece.
Yeah.
And no, you don't need to provision the servers, and provision the capacity and all of that. So I guess in the platform engineering area, there will be also like a certain cluster of people that would feel a bit endangered, that they are losing their job. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to scale the app or provision the app for you, and all of that.
I think that's the most challenging part. Obviously, transitioning, it's helping people to grow also. So you always add, and you still have like those reluctance of people that they are like just trying to protect their
The
work,
old
or
way
the
of
way
doing
that they work,
things.
and they don't want. Yes, exactly, and they don't want to move, which is bad for like the organizations, because actually they are uh, 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 focus on themselves and not on the needs and the requirements of the organization, which is really bad. You always have, and you will always have like those kinds of people. But Thanks, it's not the majority. And today you can feel and see that there is a huge interest in platform engineering. When I started working as a system engineer, I really wanted to empower as much as possible developers. That's why, as well, I transitioned from the IT departments to engineering departments, working on applications and understanding really deeply how engineers are building applications, because they are the ones bringing value to companies, right? They are the ones building the applications, serving the purpose, solving business problems. And the IT department is a support department for engineers. And when you rely a bit too much like on IT people, then you know that it's complex for organization hiring those people, because they are costly and they are very rare. Actually, it's quite difficult just to hire those people. Then it's super frustrating. It's super frustrating for you as a developer, because you have the feeling that everything is moving slowly, slowly, slowly. So having those people that consider and they are interested about developer experience, to be honest, yes, that's great. But you will always have Reddington people that they are just pushing back all of that.
There have been different trends in various technologies are end up being adopted more quickly by the early adopters, the startup scene, and all of that. People,
Yeah.
building smaller startups. But then there are also technologies that maybe on a surface seems counterintuitive, that are more attractive to the enterprises. What are you seeing with Qovery? What is the type of company that's
Yeah.
most interesting for you maybe to collaborate with and work with?
Actually, the solutions that they are chased by big organizations are not the ones that you see on top of Hacker News, for instance. I do think it's something that you learn the hard way most of the time when you're a technical founder, because you do think that everyone is top of it's like running and using bleeding edge technology, which is not the case at all. I can tell you that even today, containers, it's a super challenging like a topic for most of the organizations developer, because people, they sometimes you just forget, especially when you are really deep into all those topics, and it's still like super challenging for those organizations adopting that. Kubernetes as well. Kubernetes
Yeah.
has a deep interest of any companies, and you say it solves a lot of big problems that enterprises have, which is something counterintuitive, because if you look at Kubernetes, the adoptions came from also smaller companies actually. So it's counterintuitive, but Kubernetes is not super useful for most of startups. Actually, they can
Yeah.
just run their application and their service. They don't even have like any users. They can just pick a Raspberry Pi and run their application on it. It's just enough, like more than enough.
Yeah. 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 Fear of missing out is very hard on startups.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. So those are like real things. Something that and just to respond to your questions, so Qovery is a product that is well adopted by mid-sized companies with large engineering teams, because they are facing this problem of they don't have enough IT people, so DevOps people managing infrastructure. They start to have like the growth plan to hire more engineers, and they are already feeling the pain of being more autonomous. The way that we grow and we develop the company is by being super use case obsessed, like customer obsessed. So we are not coming with a technology. They are looking for solutions just to solve that pain, that is cheaper actually, because if you buy a product, it's cheaper actually than building it, and they've already experienced that. So for us, it's a good way to get into organization. They come with, okay, I have this issue and I see that your product is solving this issue. Great. Then we explain how it works.
That's actually the best possible way, the best possible way also to sell, I would say, because they're explaining the problem. You don't have to kind of you
Yeah.
don't have to explain that they have a problem. So what are some things that you guys are really looking to ship or expand further in 2024 in terms of product, or maybe also the domain and company?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, it's expanding the features, like keep improving the features that we have in our product. And on the other side, we are going to ship new additional product, mostly open source solutions that we have already shipped in 2022, like Replibyte. Replibyte is going to be integrated, and we allocate more time just to spend on that one. But it's a fully open source solutions that help to seed your development database with production data, but by also keeping safe all the sensitive information product. And we have also another product, which is not an internal developer platform, but an internal developer portal that is completely open source, an alternative to Backstage that we have started at Qovery to provide really the experience that platform engineers and developers expect. Because if you look at Backstage, actually it's great in terms of concept, but using it inside organizations, and we have our customers that they are expecting to get a portal that is better than Backstage, are just struggling. They struggle just to customize, to integrate that. It's really a pain in terms of maintenance. And we plan to solve all those issues based on the Backstage experience. And so it's a 100% open source as well, developer portal, and we'll invest sometimes this year on that.
Improvement of a feature that you already have, and you're polishing that for 2 or 3 years before it really shines, and it's really perfect. I would say that in the product building world, that's probably the most on the surface kind of neglected, or
underestimated. You're right. And something that is challenging for most of product organizations, I'm pretty sure you have this same challenge, is that sometimes investing more time on a specific feature will not help you just to grow your business, which is something that could be also super challenging just to drop off, to stop like developing that feature. Actually, it's like we keep maintaining it, but we'll not invest so much time on that because now we can't expand the revenue, we can't get new customers, it's no longer a topic. So you have to consider that.
Again, thank you so much. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Darko.
What a great conversation. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Make sure to subscribe to Semaphore Uncut on your podcast player of choice so that you don't miss our new episodes. And stay tuned.